Monday, May the 4th, 2015 at 2 p.m. in council chambers. We'll call the meeting to order and adopt the minutes of the regular open meeting of April the 20th. Those will be adopted by consensus. Business arising from the minutes? Any prior minutes? No. Introduction of late items. We're going to remove item number 5 under business, the Gyro Park Plaza. That is going to be removed today because there's some new information that's come to light which we need to deal with. And we're going to, under reports, number 1, we're going to add an expense claim from a council meeting that somebody was at. So that's been, we don't have to resolve that, do we? We're all done? Oh, we have to, sorry, okay. We need to resolve that the agenda be adopted as amended. Campbell Roads, all in favor? Thank you very much. And we do not have any delegations today, or any correspondence, or any bylaws. Oh, we do have bylaws. 3 of them. At the bottom of my sheet it says bylaws and nothing more. All right, let's start with the bylaws. And the first one is the, let me get it up here. It is the 2015 Osoyoos tax rate bylaws 1312. Mr. Zackel, please.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So before council is bylaw 1312, the 2015 Osoyoos tax rates bylaw. On background, to update the tax rates bylaw for 2015 with the due date being July 2nd. The 2015 Osoyoos tax rates bylaw received first 3 readings at the April 20th regular open meeting of council. This bylaw is in line with the 5-year financial plan that was adopted March 16th. Taxes have increased by 1.82%, and the business class multiple remains at 1.6 times the residential rate for municipal taxes. The budget for municipal tax revenue is $2,255,937, municipal fire protection $206,813, and municipal general debt of $34,700. The town of Osoyoos is responsible for collecting and remitting taxes for other taxing jurisdictions as well, and they include the following: school, hospital, RCMP, Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen, Okanagan Regional Library, BC Assessment Authority, and the Municipal Finance Authority. An average assessment for a single-family residence is $326,319. They'll pay an average of $596.85 for their municipal portion of taxes. An average assessment for business class is $230,220, and they'll pay an average of $694.07 for their municipal portion of taxes. Tax rates bylaws must be adopted by May 14th as per section 197.1 of the Community Charter. Under the implications for community, continued operation and enhancement of the municipality. Organizationally, there's no changes. Under budget, Osoyoos tax rates bylaw is in line with the 5-year financial plan. Significant dates. Tax rates bylaw needs to be adopted no later than May 14th. Sustainability. Working to ensure maintaining levels of services for the community and financial sustainability for the town. Under options. Option 1, to adopt the 2015 Osoyoos tax rates bylaw 1312-2015. And option 2, to delay the adoption. So the recommendation before council is option number 1. The tax rates bylaw is in line with the 5-year financial plan bylaw and needs to be adopted no later than May 14th as legislated by the Community Charter. This would allow for the collection of property taxes in 2015.
Thank you, Mr. Zackel. Could I have a motion from, thank you, Mr. Campbell?
Motion to accept option number 1 to adopt the 2015 Osoyoos tax rates bylaw 1312-2015.
And Councillor Rhodes is seconding the motion. Would anyone like to speak to it? This has been talked about and in our plan, and we have already given first 3 readings to it, so we feel we're very much aware of what is we're being asked to do here. So could I ask for the motion is to a number 1. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. And next is the museum parcel tax. Mr. Zackel?
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So this before council is a museum parcel tax amendment bylaw 1300.02 2015. In 2011, the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen adopted the Osoyoos Museum Service Establishment Bylaw 2553 for Electoral Area A in the town of Osoyoos, which received elector assent on the 5th of June 2011. The referendum in 2011 stated that the annual cost would be allocated as a flat charge to all taxable properties in the Electoral Area A and the town of Osoyoos. This bylaw was established to enable the purchase of the future museum property currently occupied by Osoyoos home builders. Amendment Bylaw 1300.02 received first 3 readings at the April 20th regular open meeting of Council. A parcel tax bylaw was created in 2013 in order for the town of Osoyoos to collect the portion owing to the regional district for these services. The RDOS requisitions the town annually and establishes the parcel tax rate to be charged. The town needs to annually update their parcel tax bylaw to ensure the rate is consistent with the rate being charged to the Area A residents. The 2015 rate established is $14.74. Implications under the community. The electors of the Electoral Area A and Town of Osoyoos approved the borrowing of funds for the future location of the museum. Organizationally, there's nothing to report. Under budget, sets the parcel tax bylaw to the rate established by the RDOS for the museum parcel tax requisition. Under significant dates, bylaw needs to be adopted no later than May 15th, 2015. Sustainability. This bylaw allows for the collection of funds required to pay for the town's portion of annual debt payments for the museum property. Under options, option 1, to adopt the museum parcel tax amendment bylaw 1300.02 2015. Option 2, to not adopt bylaw 1300.02 2015. And a recommendation before councils for option 1. This keeps the rate charged consistent between the RDOS and the town for 2015.
Thank you. And again, we had the first 3 readings of this at the regular meeting on April the 20th. So do we have a motion to, yes, to option 1? That would be Youngberg and King. Anybody want to speak to this one? All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. And next we have the Mr. Cunningham, are you going to deal with this one? The water zoning bylaw amendment for Paradise Park.
Absolutely. Attached is report 1 for the proposed Paradise Park rezoning. The Paradise Park Lessees Association, represented by Randy North, is seeking to build a new dock facility in Solana Key, fronting their RV park at 5901 Main Street. A rezoning is required under the Town of Osoyoos Foreshore and Lake Zoning Bylaw number 1294/2012 for Paradise Park to replace their existing private dock with a new larger strata dock for mooring 10 boats and to retain 15 of their current 25 private buoys. On April 7th, Council gave first and second readings to Foreshore and Lake Zoning Bylaw Amendment number 1294.01 to 15, but postponed setting a public hearing date until after Paradise Park convened their annual general meeting and voted on the proposed rezoning. The director received an email dated April 26, 2015 from Randy North confirming that at their general meeting on the previous date being April 25th, the Paradise Park owners approved a resolution with overwhelming support to proceed with obtaining the W3 Strata Group merge tenure permitting and associated rezoning. The administration recommends that in light of the positive resolution by the Paradise Park Lessees Association, Council proceed to the next step of convening an advertised public hearing. It is suggested for Council's consideration they convene the public hearing at 1:30 p.m. on June 15th to 15, immediately preceding their regular meeting. Randy North has been in touch with me, and he has expressed concern about having to wait that long. I originally had attempted to schedule the public hearing at the same time, 1:30 on June 1st, but you, pardon me, you have a general meeting on that date, so I had to avoid it. But if council was amenable, they could perhaps convene the public hearing after the regular meeting in the afternoon, or they could set it at a date around about then, the day after, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever. So if you could give consideration to that
Are you
as well.
suggesting on June the 1st that we
Yes.
do it after our regular meeting in the afternoon?
Yes, we can do that. All the advertising, the two required advertising advertisements could be in place by then. We could do it by June 1st.
Mr. Emenko, how does that work? We're never quite sure how long our regular meetings would last. Could we break and do it, say, at 3 o'clock and then reconvene if needed, or how does that work?
Yeah, you could recess. I'm just curious, why would we not do it before the, on June 1st?
The general,
We
wait,
have
well,
Oh, we
The
have
town
the
AGM.
annual
general
AGM.
meeting, right.
Okay. Yes, as a matter of process, we could just recess the existing meeting and
And so should we set a time for that, like 3 o'clock, or
I would suggest probably 3:30,
that would be fine?
and you know, with any luck, the meeting may be over by then.
Okay. We'll make sure it is.
Okay.
So, Councillor Rhodes, did you have a?
There's no opportunity to do it at our next meeting.
No,
No.
no, we require, we advertisements in 2 consecutive newspapers.
Line?
One copy more than 10 days ahead, and the other one less than 3, so no. That would be the first available day we could do it.
Okay, that seems to be a sensible way to do it. Could we have a motion to that effect, that we hold a public hearing after the regular meeting on June the 1st? Thank you. That's Councillor Campbell, Councillor Youngberg. That would be scheduled for 3:30 in the afternoon. Anybody else? Is that all right, Mr.?
Thank you for your
Cunningham?
flexibility, Council.
Okay, so do we have a motion to accept that? Resolve that the next step is convening the public meeting. We have that motion. All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Next we have on the agenda is under business 1 is 3809 Lobelia Drive, and that is a notice on title, and that would be Mr. Paget.
There we go. How's that? Good? Yeah. Good afternoon. This is regarding the former Nelms Wall. It was a sort of an outstanding issue we had for several years. And the background on this is in October of 2010, a notice on title was filed with the Land Title Office concerning the retaining wall at 3809 Lobelia Drive, owned by Mr. Kenneth Nelms. The notice was filed as a result of the owner's failure to comply with a court order to remove a non-conforming retaining wall from the public right-of-way along Jasmine Drive. Since that time, the retaining wall has been relocated onto the owner's property under a valid building permit, and the owner has repaid all of the legal costs that were awarded to the town by the courts, the last check having been cashed in February of this year. It would be considered acceptable now to remove the notice on title in accordance with Section 58 of the Community Charter. And unless directed to do otherwise, staff will proceed with removing the notice on title, and this will close the file on the retaining wall encroachment.
Thank you very much. It seems quite sensible to do that. Do we need a motion to do
Yes,
that?
we need a motion. There was a motion to put the notice on title, so we need to remove it now.
We need a motion to remove the notice on title. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Youngberg, all in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Our next is the, it always jumps up here. Parks and Trails Master Plan. Oh, and that is Mr. Cunningham. Thank you.
That's okay. Okay. Attached is an RFP for consultants to prepare a Parks and Trails Master Plan to be released on May 13 to 15 with advertising and BC Bid, the Osoyoos Times, and our town website. The Parks and Trails Master Plan is included in Council's approved 2015 budget. As described in the RFP introduction, the plan will be prepared with input from a stakeholder charrette planning process and submitted to Council for adoption as a secondary sectoral plan under our official community plan. The new plan will provide guidance for investing in the acquisition and development of an integrated system of parks and trails to serve diverse community and visitor needs into the future. The selected consultant will build on the work already completed under part of the town's 2014 Community Services Master Plan relating to, as it relates to parks, open spaces, and trails. The administration is requesting Council to review the RFP and provide any comments. We would especially appreciate any comments you may have in the process for involving stakeholders, including Council itself and members of the public. See Section 214-215. We also request selection of a Council member to sit on the town's Parks and Trails Study Coordination Committee. See Section 3. Options. Council agrees to the RFP proceeding as presented here. 2. Council agrees to the RFP proceeding with changes. Option 3. Council does not agree to the RFP proceeding at this time. Implications. Community participation will be promoted through a charrette planning process and subsequent open house. Organizational. A Parks and Trails Master Plan will assist the town keep up with the current and future needs, budget its resources efficiently and effectively, meet provincial best practices for justifying and making best use of our Parkland DCC monies, and being able to participate and benefit in the regional trails planning and investments. Our current 2007 OCP was prepared without a Parks and Trails plan in place, and instead it identifies this as a priority that needs to be addressed. Budget. Council budgeted $25,000 of 215 resort municipal planning for the project, along with another $10,000 coming from reserves. Significant dates. The RFP closed on June 5th to 15, and a report will be taken to Council on June 15th for selecting a contractor. So June 5th and June 15th. The charrette will be scheduled after September 15th to avoid summer season conflicts with business people and other residents. Sustainability. A quality integrated system of parks and trails will serve evolving community, recreation, and health needs, act as an economic driver for attracting new residents and growing our economic base, and add to our resort community assets. Recommendation. Staff recommends that Council agree on either options 1 or 2 for the RFP to proceed in conformity with their 2015 budget, meet the current OCP shortfall of not having a Parks and Trails Master Plan in place, and realize significant benefits for the future of our community. And I asked you if you could take a look at one particular section of the RFP, and I'll just read that out for the public. So if we go to 2 scope, going down to number 4, organize and facilitate, and this is the process that how we would do the actual study. Organize and facilitate a day-long charrette planning process to develop ideas and priorities with options where appropriate. We currently envisage participation by some 30 stakeholders, including the Coordination Committee, all other councillors, and some representative members of the public. The town will provide the meeting space. To avoid our busy summer season, the charrette should be scheduled for after September 15th. And going to point number 5, develop a draft plan with input from the charrette and present to an open house for obtaining feedback from charrette stakeholders and interested members of the public so that other people could attend. Make any revisions as necessary after discussing with the coordination committee, and then ending in 6, complete a final draft plan for staff presentation to council for adoption. So I would appreciate your comments on the process and your selection of a person to sit on the committee from council.
Thank you very much, and I think having a charrette planning process is a really good idea. That worked very well with the Gyro Park, and we had lots of different ideas, and we had the time to look at them and consider them. So I think this is a good idea. Is there a councillor who would like to volunteer to sit on this committee as requested? Councillor King would like to do that. Is that all right with everybody else? Okay, good. Thank you, Councillor King. And did anyone have any other comments on the report? Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just a question about the regional district who has done an awful lot of planning and shredding and meeting with the public about that kind of thing in the regional district. Are we going to collaborate with them, or will they be a part of this? They just seem to have a wealth of knowledge, and I think they've gone so far as to do the mapping thing on both existing and projected trails as well. So.
Yeah, that would be part of the information base that would be used by the consultant. It may be possible when we get down into the details of the constituency of the group who would be going to the charrette, that there could be a representative from the regional district. I would think that would be entirely useful. As you know, and I said that they're doing a lot of excellent planning. We should participate in that ongoing process, and we should benefit in terms of the monies that are allocated by the regional district to trail improvements. There's been other areas which have rightfully been getting them, but I think that there's a need to extend the funding for projects down to the southern end of the valley. And as you've probably all been reading in the paper, there's a very exciting Rails to Trails venture which is proceeding successfully, which will link with the regional trail here, but will be able to provide access for pedestrians and cyclists to go the whole way up the Okanagan Valley. And then we want to, I think, participate in that and join in with that when we have the opportunity of providing our own creative ideas of how it can all be realized.
Thank you. Would anybody like to make a motion based on one of the options?
Sure.
Councillor King?
Option 1.
You would move option 1. Is there a seconder? Councillor Youngberg. Any comments, any questions? All in favor of option 1. Thank you very much. That's passed. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Mr. Zackel, banking agreement renewal.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So before council is our banking agreement renewal. Town of Osoyoos uses the Bank of Montreal for the banking services for the town. The current agreement has expired April 30th of 2015. The Bank of Montreal has proposed to extend our current banking agreement for a 5-year term. The town of Osoyoos pays a total of $35 per month in service fees to the Bank of Montreal, and all other fees and charges are waived. As an example, $915.96 would have been our fees in January, and $740.35 would have been our fees in February. They're also proposing to continue to waive these fees in the renewal process. In addition, the bank is proposing to improve our interest on deposits from the Bank of Montreal prime lending rate less 1.9% to a new rate of less 1.75%. The customer service that our staff has received from the Bank of Montreal staff over the recent years has been exceptional. If council was to consider using a different financial institution for our banking requirements, a request for proposals would need to be put out. If we were to change financial institutions, there would be significant costs and staff time associated with making the change, which would include costs associated with new checks, setting up pre-authorized payment plan accounts for the property taxes, payroll direct deposit, electronic fund payments for accounts payable. Implications for a community: to keep costs down where possible and increase revenues where available. Organizationally, no impacts if the banking agreement is accepted. If the town goes out for RFP, the significant staff time would be required. Under budget, the town would benefit by a 0.15% increase on account balances on deposits with the Bank of Montreal if the banking agreement is accepted. Significant dates: agreement would be signed once received from the bank if council accepts. Sustainability: to ensure financial sustainability for the town by keeping costs down where possible. Under options: to accept the Bank of Montreal proposal to extend the banking agreement for a term of 5 years, or option 2, to go out for RFP, request for proposal for banking services. So the recommendation from staff is option 1, for council to accept the Bank of Montreal proposal to extend the banking agreement for a term of 5 years. The customer service that the town has received from the Bank of Montreal staff has been exceptional. The rates charged for all services of the town has been minimal. To consider changing to another financial institution at this time would be time-consuming and increase costs significantly and would not be recommended.
Thank you very much. My first thought was, how can they possibly charge us $35 when the costs are $915 per month? So does everybody else pick up the slack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds almost too good to be true. Councillor Campbell.
For the reasons outlined in Mr. Zackel's report, and having confidence that he's looked into this and made decisions better than he does at picking fantasy hockey teams, I would move to accept motion number 1 to accept the Bank of Montreal proposal to extend the banking agreement for a term of 5 years.
Is there somebody that would like to second that? Councillor Youngberg. Would anyone like to speak to that? All right. Hearing nothing, all in favor of accepting that for the next 5 years? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item that we have is the annual general meeting.
I'll do that.
And you're going to do it instead of Ms. Van Vienen. Thank you. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Section 99 of the Community Charter requires that Council holds an annual general meeting to consider the annual report before June 30th of each year. The public has the opportunity to address Council regarding the annual report. The Town of Osoyoos has held the annual general meeting at its second meeting in the month of June. For 2/15, it's being suggested that the AGM be held in the first meeting in June, which would be June 1st. The meeting can be held on a day separate from the regular open meeting of the Council. However, it is convenient to hold it on the same day. 1 hour is being suggested for the meeting to allow for the review of the annual report and the public to address Council. It is suggested that AGM begin at 1 p.m. on June 1st, 2015, and that at the regular meeting be advertised to follow immediately after the AGM, which would meet the notice requirements. In terms of implications, the committee has the opportunity to address Council regarding 2014 achievements. Organizationally, all the directors will be in attendance. No budget implications. Significant date requirements under the Community Charter to prepare the annual report and schedule the AGM before the end of June. The options being presented that the annual general meeting for the Town of Osoyoos be held on Monday, June 1st, 2015 at 1 p.m. in Council chambers, and that the regular open meeting of Council begin immediately following the AGM. Option 2, that the annual general meeting be held on another date and time, and the staff recommends option number 1.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion? Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I'll make a motion based on option 1, the wording in option 1.
Thank you. A seconder, Councillor Campbell. Is there anybody wants to add anything? All in favor of that? Thank you very much. So we can go ahead with that. And we are removing number 5. So we are now on to notice of motions. Any notice of motions? And we'll go on to reports. And the first one is the...
I'll do it.
Yes, are you going to do it, please?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the new item to the agenda, and it's looking for a council resolution to approve the expense report for Councillor Rhodes attending the SILGA conference in Kamloops for a day and a half for $150.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell, Councillor Youngberg, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And we're now on, and I would suggest to other councillors that they need to get the reports in so we can do the same for you. He was just fast. We're now on to general net payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts. And the background is to report on expenditures from accounts payable for council approval and payroll information for council to receive. So general cash requirements are at $278,363.30. Sun Bowl cash requirements $727.77, and both of those will be adopted by consensus. And net payroll accounts of $68,477.34, and that will be adopted by consensus. Thank you. And committee reports? No, we don't have any committee reports. Okay, and we now have the CAO report.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just a few of the activities the administration has been involved in over the last 2 weeks, starting in community services, where our Osprey Nest Cam has been out for a little while. Unfortunately, our nano beam went down, but I'm happy to report that it's nanoing again, and the Osprey camera is now working. The shutdown at the Sun Bowl Arena is scheduled for May 4th. The arena will be closed for upgrades and annual maintenance. It will reopen on July 17th, as we have a scheduled and they have a scheduled user meeting in May. The first Recreation Commission meeting was held with the new committee on Monday, April 27th. The new chairperson is Michelle Quayle, and the vice chair is Mitch Fritz. The staff has applied for 2 grants. The Enabling Accessibility Grant through the Government of Canada as part of our, they're trying to combine it with the funds assigned for a tot playground, so the grant application was for $40,000. And also the Canada Post Community Foundations grant has been applied for in the amount of $21,000 to assist with develop a climbing wall inside the Sonora Center. And the staff has been meeting with Randy Bedard of the Osoyoos Coyotes to discuss a new agreement. In terms of corporate services, the boat trailer parking permits, the packages were distributed April 29th. It opened on May 1st, and I see there's 2 trailers in there already, or there was yesterday. Utility billing, water and sewer payments are coming in. Numerous snowbirds and relocation inquiries have been coming to our door, and we've been referring them to Destination Osoyoos. Working on property taxes, change of address, new owners, and that has been pretty busy, as well as the annual report summary that's been going on. A few postings for a temporary full-time community services supervisor to replace on a maternity leave has been done, and also working on a request for proposals for the town facility janitorial services. In terms of myself, I've been working on recruitment processes for the operations director and also for the senior planner. Completed evaluations on all of the directors. Discussions with Watermark on the waste management handling on the walkway on by Gyro Beach, and attended emergency management meeting in Kelowna, and also been organizing the resort municipality planning meeting. So that's my report for today.
Thank you very much. Could we have somebody move the adoption of the CAO report? Thank you. Campbell, Rhodes, all in favor? Thank you. That's carried. And now we're on to councillors' reports, and first up is Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just two topics I'd like to comment on. A week ago, last Thursday, I was invited to speak at our local Rotary luncheon. And, you know, I don't really want to talk about anything that I said there. I'd kind of like to acknowledge, thank you to our local paper for covering that quite well. I wanted to comment on the Rotary as an organization in our community and offer them a real heartfelt thanks for the many things that they do in our community. One of the primary things that's so important with organizations like that is the community engagement aspect. And you know, when you think and you look around in our community and a lot of the events and the things that are being put up, and you know, you just see that Rotary name everywhere. You know, you'd think they had 1,000 members in our town for all of the things that they do. And you know, it's just so important. You know, it is a volunteer organization and nobody really gets paid for it. But boy, they're there and they're enthusiastic, so I just say, way to go. At our SOGA meeting last week that I was able to attend, we had a long lecture on volunteerism in North America generally, and some of the impacts that volunteering has on service clubs and organizations like that. And they went into kind of a little bit of detail about, you know, why they're hurting for members and why people are not volunteering anymore. And the statistics as it came out at the end of the day is actually in North America, volunteerism is actually rising quite significantly. Everybody thinks that it's going down, but it's the service clubs that are having the real struggle right now. And I mention this only because the Rotary was singled out as one of the few organizations in North America that is not really having that difficulty right now. So, you know, once again, way to go, congratulations, and thanks for everything that you do in our community. The other thing I wanted to comment on is I was able to pitch our resolution at SOGA last Thursday, and after waiting for about 7.5 hours to be able to do it, I got my 2 minutes of time at the microphone, and pitched it pretty hard. And there was, you know, some people that got up to the mic and actually spoke against it. I'm not really clear, but most of the reasons that they did speak against it, not suggesting that they could do otherwise, they can do whatever they want, of course. But most of the comments against it were about trust issues and the privacy of voting and the confidentiality of it perhaps being compromised for one reason or another. Most of those fears were laid to rest by some of the people who voted or talked on the pro side about internet banking and the confidence that we've shown in that, and use of credit cards and debits and that certainly in Canada. And at the end of the day, it was passed, and it will be going to UBCM in September, and hopefully we'll have a positive result on that. And there were a few people, I don't know what the count is, they don't count them, but there was about 6 to 10 people that did vote against it, but the overwhelming majority was in favor of it. So, yeah, so that worked out pretty good. So, and that's my report.
Thank you very much. Thank you for doing that, presenting that. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I agree with you regarding your comments on the Rotary. And when we talk about volunteerism, I think we can look at the fact that most of us started volunteering as adults in the communities that we lived in and through different organizations. I think what's encouraging now is when we look at things like We Day that the school systems are involved in here, and the schools themselves involving students in environmental issues and responsibilities. I have hope that we're going to continue to see volunteerism rise, because I think we're reaching out to kids at a much younger age now and getting them involved early. I didn't attend as many meetings as others. I was away for most of the last week or so. I do want to give a congratulations to Destination Osoyoos and some volunteers for Oyster Fest this year. And what was encouraging was measuring where our people came from that attended. And there was obviously a great presence from locals in Osoyoos, but we also saw a lot of people coming in from Kelowna, up and down the valley, and as far away as Vancouver, and Destination Osoyoos has been tracking where those visitors came from. So I think it's a huge opportunity to watch this continue to grow, as it was a grassroots effort a few years back that has taken on a life of its own, and I'm very encouraged that that'll continue to grow for years to come, and it certainly is a unique event to have in our community. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. Councillor King.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I was attending a couple things. A week ago, Monday, I attended my first Osoyoos and District Recreation Commission meeting. There was 10 fellow members there that are very energized and enthusiastic to help Parks and Rec move forward with their issues. I also attended last week 3 days at SILGA, which is the South Interior Local Government Association. Went to a couple workshops, and a couple in particular was a couple gentlemen from Kamloops and Economic Development, where they had done quite a few studies and come up with the thought that possibly a lot of the smaller towns should be identifying companies in their own town that they can actually help them move forward and hire more people, because they actually are already here in our community and spend maybe a little bit less resources trying to bring people in from outside. Another great talk was from Minister Lake, who talked about doctors in the province. And just to get a handle on it, he mentioned we were about 10% behind. Manitoba is actually 20% behind, and Quebec is actually 24% behind in filling spaces for doctors. So when you put it in that context, I guess you'd have to say we're somewhere in the middle. And yesterday, I was fortunate enough to volunteer for the Hike for Office and serve hot dogs. It was well represented for the first time this year. I think all the people had a lot of fun. We had great weather in our great town of Osoyoos, and just great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for going to SILGA. It's a great learning experience, isn't it? And Councillor Youngberg.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I attended the BC Economic Development Summit on Monday and Tuesday in Richmond. The opening presentation was from Minister Shirley Bond. Small business is the economic driver of the communities, and just a few things that she touched on that I think are really important to the longevity of our economic confidence in small communities is the LNG is very much on the table. They're working towards results with some very positive meetings with First Nations. And the mining is really successful in the Bulkley Valley area. There were a number of representatives from that area indicating that they were happy with all of the meetings that they've been having. And of course, they're very successful in housing and staffing, which is really good to hear. Dawson Creek and Fort St. John are the areas that are extremely booming with the continuing development of all kinds in that area. Companies are looking for strong communities that can answer these questions. Where do we find the people to work for us? What do your communities offer us? Is the location situated for today and throughout the future? What can the community do for the people who work for the companies? Communities do receive value through incentives. So ideas to list our strengths and our incentives on many of the websites that are available from the provincial government and also from Destination BC. The ministry is conducting a small business roundtable where Community Futures will sit, and our representatives from this area, which will be attending our council meetings very shortly. One of the representatives is a fellow who represents Minister Bond's ministry, and he has planned to be here a couple of times and had to cancel, I understand, but will be here later in May or early June. He has some very interesting programs that they're rolling out. One of them being an incentive to the youth between the ages of 18 and 39, with funding available, business plan writing and consultation all available for those people who would be interested. Representative from the small business will also be making a visit over the next 2 weeks to Mayor and Council as well as Destination Osoyoos. Some of the new companies that I found really interesting, animation company has moved up from California, 700 workers. They're hiring 200 more. And they mentioned a new Osoyoos cookie company that came straight from Minister Shirley Bond's desk, and as a recognition. And I thought it was interesting because I think that cookie company's in Oliver. So I thought, that's all right, we got some ink out of it. And tourism is feeding the economics of the province, obviously, one of our main industries. And the other interesting part of that concept is that they're now including transportation as a large part of that ministry. Ministry of Jobs, Tourism, and Skills Training. They feel that it sort of works like this. The business advertises, the marketing bring the visitor becomes a tourist, all traveling on roads, and the roads have to be brought up to decent standards, which has been a little bit of a concern to many people on Highway 97. Provincial nominee program for immigrants, which we are actively involved in, has seen 5,005 applications on file to this point in 2015. They're relaxing it as of July the 1st. And we do have 3 files on the table from Osoyoos, and it takes between 13 and 15 months to work through some of these procedures. Some of the new businesses in big demand that are circulating through the province I found interesting. Drones. People with drones are looking for businesses that actually can be set up where drones become a major part of the operation. Mobile food trucks, more pressure on the communities to have mobile food trucks and have them working in different areas of industrial and commercial developments. Social enterprise. Social enterprise industry is very much a part of the business development. Destination BC has a new brand video with a shot of our wineries and the Indian Head Mountain and Spotted Lake. And I thought everybody should go on Destination BC and look at the brand. It's a really nice video. They rolled it out 2 weeks ago, I guess. And we're in there. So we're still getting more ink. I think that's great. Just a lot of information and connections at this event. It was extremely overwhelming. Osoyoos is featured in many conversations relating to examples of business innovation, environment concerns that came out of our area, and of course our agribase for organics was very much discussed. We should be proud of our Destination Osoyoos Director, Gail Scott. We won the Best Initiative Award, over 30 communities that participated for her Snowbird initiative. And I believe that all of them at DO worked for that, but I think that Osoyoos Times is going to be asked to do a layout about it. And I do believe that the information has been emailed to Destination Osoyoos. So I felt I became aware of community issues, solutions, and lots of upcoming initiatives that really do affect our area. And I'm still responsible for the Okanagan Regional Library Board and have a meeting tomorrow regarding our lease and some other concerns that they have about our area. So I'll be reporting on that next meeting.
Thank you very much, and we're glad that you went to that economic development thing, because it's great to have a couple of different ears and eyes on that. Besides, Gail Scott was there too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, she was, but unfortunately we didn't have a lot of time together because she stayed in another hotel.
Oh.
Just to save the board money, because that was, it was a little bit more than
Sure.
what she had budgeted for, because she wanted to go to a training session. So we really didn't get to see each other, but she introduced me to, many of the contacts that she had over the years and the different ministers, and it was all very, very interesting.
Good. It's a great learning experience, having been on council for 3 years and then now as the mayor. It's amazing what we need to, what we pick up and what we learn and who we meet. Mm-hmm. So great, thank you very much. So I've had a couple of busy weeks, and just one meeting that I went to about 2 weeks ago was School District 53, and Councillor Youngberg was also there. where they kind of outlined their some of the challenges that they're having, and how they're sort of restructuring things in the district to try and make do with. Well, they have to always cut down on with money, and I do know that when the assistant superintendent retired in January, they did not replace that position. So that was one way that they did it. Also of interest I found at that meeting was that they're advertising to have a French grade 6, grade 7 class at Tuckalnuit School, and they're asking for interested students who would like to sign up for that. They don't have to hire another teacher. They actually have somebody on staff who can conduct that. So I think it's great, because many years ago when my kids were younger, we tried to get French immersion in the district and it just didn't work. I also went to one of the Oyster Fest. It was at Walnut Beach. It was I thought it was a tea, but it really wasn't. It was a wine tasting and oysters, and there was probably 200 to 300 people there, and I bet I knew 3 of them. That was how many people there were from out of town. The hotels were busy, and people attended it and loved it. So congratulations to Destination Osoyoos for getting that all organized. I also went and saw the SOAP, South Okanagan Amateur Players, production of the Melville Boys. It was excellent. Absolutely amazed at how, I think it went on for 2.25 hours, and all 4 players were on stage most of the time, and they didn't miss a beat. It was excellent. I highly recommend that you attend those. They always put them on at least once a year, sometimes twice. They do 2 nights at the Osoyoos Secondary School Theatre and 2 nights in Oliver. So congratulations to SOAP. I was in the Daffodil Dash on April the 26th. That was instead of the Relay for Life, it was called, that they've had for about the last 10 years. It was, I think there were 39 people. That it was well organized. It was at Lions Park, 10 o'clock in the morning. We all got little badges to wear to say who we were running for, and we ran down. They had a 5-kilometer route out there and served us all oranges after, and it was a fun day, and it wasn't a 12-hour day. It was over within an hour or 2, so it was easily manageable, and I'm hoping that they got some money for the Cancer Society. I was at the hospice run yesterday, and that was the first hospice run that was done in Osoyoos. I think it was the 9th for Oliver. And of course, hospice is an Oliver Osoyoos initiative. Even though the hospital's in Oliver, the hospice facility is down here, and there are people on the board of directors from both communities. So it's very nice to see both communities get involved in this. There's also another run. I'm going to get in shape despite myself. On May the 8th, which is this Friday, it's the Health Day, and anybody who would like to come out and volunteer, they can walk with Mayor and Council. Did the councillors hear that? It's not just the mayor that's walking, it's mayor and council. And it's from 12 o'clock until 1 o'clock on Friday, May the 8th, and we start at the Sonora Center. So please come out and support that. And for the last 3 days, I have been at a Seroptimus International of Western Canada conference, and it was the first time that Osoyoos has been able to host the conference. It was at Spirit Ridge. We had, I think, 115 members, Seroptimus, from British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Wonderful conference. Lots of fun, and I've been to a few of these over the years since I've been a member for 13 years, and it's great to meet these people again. Really appreciate all the work done by, of course, our members, but by Spirit Ridge. They put on, and they were very, very helpful, an excellent facility, and the food was terrific as well. There were not only a business meeting, but there were a couple of speakers Seroptimists means best for women, and the Seroptimists work for women and used to be children. It's now specifically girls, but we certainly do include boys as well, in locally and nationally and internationally with programs. Two of the speakers that were there were very interesting. One was Joyce Smith, who is an MP from, and I'm not quite sure where she's from. I think maybe Edmonton. She is very much involved in comprehensive strategy to combat human trafficking. And it's not just in other countries, it is very much in Canada as well. So she has put forth Bill 280, C-280 and C-310, making it, providing much tougher sentences for people who are charged with human trafficking. And so she personally has the Joyce Smith Foundation and helps numerous young women and men to restore their lives. So she was a very interesting speaker, and Val was there as well, Channel 10 and Eastlink, and because she stood in the shadows most of the time, Val was not able to get a lot of that. But Val was also there for Jem Monroe from the Amarak Society, teaching women to teach others. And so when we say it takes a village, well, when you teach poor women to get a little bit educated and work with other women, it just expands and expands. So two very, very good programs. So lots of things on the go. I know that there are several other interesting things happening in the next couple of months. I know that before our next council meeting that that on May the 16th we will have the opening of Market on Main, which is just outside here. So that promises new crafts, you know, organic veggies and lots of things like that. So please come out and support that. So that's the end of my report. Thank you very much for paying attention, everybody, and thank you, Mr. Lacey, for covering this. And we wish everybody a sunny, happy afternoon. And could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Campbell, all in favor. Thank you very much, everybody.